Jigsaw from a $1 million project based on a short, now getting ready to have its 10th film in a franchise. Low budget horror masterpiece. In 2004, this was really edgy, dark, disturbing, interesting. It is very much like I think we saw with Squid Games, where you put yourself into these scenarios. You inject yourself. You talk about you want to engage your audience, not always entertain, but you want to engage your audience. There couldn't be a better way to engage them sometimes if they can feel like they need to immerse themselves into those scenarios. And this film did it perfectly. The other thing that's amazing is the all-star cast. Danny Glover, Cary Elwes, Monica Potter, um, Michael Emerson, Ken Leong, obviously Tobin Bell, who plays the Jigsaw, right? So we don't get that till the end, obviously, but it is all done very well. And obviously the co-creator, Leigh Whannell, plays, one of the main characters, and it does keep the cost down. But here's the thing: the idea of being like kidnapped, caught, waking up, obviously the urban legend, right? You wake up in the bathtub, you've got your kidneys removed, you're in a bathtub of ice, those kinds of things. It played on all of that kind of stuff back then. It really, really did. It did it really beautifully well. Then to have this backstory where you're always questioning what's actually happening. Well, is the detective an honest broker in all of this, in this investigation, right? We are caught off guard at times with Danny Glover's character of like, is he too obsessed? Is it possibly part of the problem, right? Then you have the twists and turns with the cassette tapes as Jigsaw and the investigation is sort of playing out. Then how beautifully it's done to incorporate the clues and things that are sort of like cast aside or that you don't notice right away, right? So here's some trailer footage for some other memory prompts for me. So let me just run through this real quick. I think I rewatching this film really took me back. This trailer is just a class in trying to get you interested because the way it uses the flash cameras to give you information. And if you remember, that was a very, small portion of the story of that character's kidnapping, basically, before he sort of wakes up in the bathroom. Here's the Jigsaw video, right? The creepy puppet and stuff like that. They're chained to the pipes with the hacksaw and that kind of thing. It's really, really, really great film. It held up really well. I really enjoyed the rewatch. I really want to do some videos on my take on the subsequent films because there's really only like a couple of different groups of these films, but I do think there's a stigma that goes across all of them. And I don't know if that's totally fair. So I really kind of want to touch on a couple of the other films and kind of do some videos on that as well. We're headed into Halloween. Why would I not want to do some of this at least a little bit? So here you go, guys. Give you a little dose, a little tease of another horror movie that might be worth your time doing a rewatch. And yes, there is a Saw 10 coming at some point. I don't know if this new release date is actually going to hold or not. I don't even know if you care or not. I'm not particularly interested in going to the theater and giving them my cash, but I'm not saying I wouldn't rule out watching it at some point. Again, it's moments like this where you and the audience were caught up. I mean, I remember seeing this in the theater, which was on the edge of my seat, like how good all of this was done, how well it does it hold up as well with repeat viewing because you kind of know more. I got to be honest, I still enjoyed the process. I enjoyed the journey. Sure, I know more. I know little pieces. I'm picking up on little elements that I wouldn't have gotten the first time through. I know how it ends for this character, the shock factor. Obviously, the poster even has it sort of ruined for you. So if you don't know, it's like, but when the theater dropped, when this first happened, we weren't really totally sure we understood what was going to play out or how it was going to play out. Like we didn't quite know. So this was, if you can kind of put yourself in that journey of, what it was like, it plays on your fear of abduction and kidnapping, cheering for the cop or not. Oh, this is Amanda, right? Amanda's very important because she's the only one that survives. She's the only one that is able to survive one of the puzzles. Shawnee Smith plays Amanda. Her and I think it's Dinah Meyer who plays one of the other police officers, or one of the few characters that gets to kind of carry on in all of this. Um, and I will say that I like Shawnee Smith. I think she really, really did a great job. It's kind of a disturbing thing to have to kind of hang your hat on, is that she played kind of like, the crackhead, scream queen character. But okay. Um, yeah, I think all of this was it was just done really well. Promotion was great. You have just enough information, I think, in the trailer and in the footage, and like you can see, oh my gosh, she's actually going to go for it. So yeah, it got us into theaters. It made a ton of money, spawned some sequels, some not so good, some not bad. I didn't say they were great. Careful, but they're worthy of conversation. So anyway, that's my thought on it. Tell me what you guys think. Where does this fit for you in the sort of like the horror franchises? I think as a whole franchise, it doesn't hold a candle to Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, something like that. But I'm also not trying to dismiss this either. It's those like it doesn't have some worth, because I do think a couple of the sequels are worth talking about. I will say there is interesting elements in many of the films, even whenever they derail into a mess or contradict themselves. Uh, but it all starts right here. It all starts with the first one, and that it holds up very well. I would have had to grade it with my scale. I'm going to probably go 7, but I'm because I saw it in a theater, so it's a very nostalgic 7. Probably deserves a 6, 6.5, right? But see it in the theater, yeah, this was fun. This was a blast. Took me back for sure. So thanks everybody for watching. I am Pops.